is a gorgeous day in Hangtown, just outside Sacramento, California, as we get set to bring you round 2 of the AMA 250cc Outdoor Motocross Series. Hello, everyone. I'm John Kernan, along with former motocross champion David Bailey. And you know, David, lately, for the defending series champion Mike LaRocco, it's just been terrible. A DNF at Gainesville in round 1, and then at the Charlotte Supercross, he breaks an arm, and that basically puts him out of championship contention this year.
Well, pretty disappointing for the rider that's usually the fastest one on the track. And he won the season opener, the first moto, then he DNF'd moto number 2. And mathematically, he could have still come back and won the series, but now out for round 2 completely, it's going to be impossible. However, it's going to make things exciting for the rest of the riders that are left.
Yes, it certainly should be exciting. Let's check in with those riders to find out what they think about LaRocco's absence.
It helps a little bit. It's kind of good and kind of bad, because usually if there's a lot of fast guys in there, then you know, it's like the 125 class. If you win and your competitor gets 5th, you know, there's a lot of guys in there that are fast. Now if guys keep getting hurt or something, then there's going to be 2 guys that are battling. It's really hard to make up a lot of points. So, you know, we're going to have to see how it goes this year. It's really too early to tell.
I think so. It's a shame to see that he got hurt, because it was getting close down in the Supercross series, but that's part of the game, you know, not getting hurt, and I've been able to avoid that.
Well, I think it's, like you said earlier, it's a good opportunity, and, you know, I got to take that to my fullest advantage. You know, you still got a lot of other riders out there. So, you know, I'm just going to look at the race as, you know, I got my guns loaded. I've been training hard and riding good. So, you know, go out there and just whatever comes my way, deal with it.
Well, they are dealing with a wide open field as far as the battle for this year's 250cc Outdoor Championship. Should be exciting, as was round 1 at Gainesville. Let's take a look back with our Suzuki flashback. 40 of the best riders in the United States made a hard charge into turn 1 to get the season underway. You see a great view of that start from Rich Taylor's helmet cam. It would be Larry Ward who would take the whole shot.
But it wasn't long before he drifted wide and let the 3-time world champion Greg Albertine move into the lead and serve notice that on the outdoor circuit, he's for real.
Defending series champion Mike LaRocco hung around at 3rd until midway through, then jumped past Larry Ward for 2nd.
Meanwhile, back in the pack, Mike Kudrowski was putting on an incredible charge, but in the process, he went down twice.
In the first moto, Kudrowski faded to a 6th place finish, but came back for 2nd overall. Meanwhile, LaRocco gets around Albertine in the closing laps and wins the opening moto of 1995.
But that success didn't last long. In Moto 2, Mike LaRocco out with a broken front wheel. You can see the frustration right there. He's going to drop 25 points.
With the DNF, a 36th place finish, 7th overall in the standings.
He wasn't the only one to have bad luck. Greg Albertine also broke a rear wheel. It appeared as though they were going to try to fix it, but they couldn't get it done, and he also drops an entire moto.
After an impressive ride in his morning qualifying heat by winning and then a 2nd place finish in Moto number 1 to start the 95 season, Albertine, the defending world champion, would fade to 34th in the 2nd moto, 9th place overall. And that left the door open for this man.
Jeremy McGrath picking up his first ever outdoor 250 national win.
McGrath would capture the overall title and thus take the lead after round 1 in the AMA 250 Outdoor Motocross Series. Mike Kudrowski rallies for a 2nd place finish. Jeff Emig is 3rd in the points, followed by Doug Henry, and Larry Ward is 5th after 1 round. And you get a good look from overhead, the helicopter shot here at Hangtown. It's a beautiful day on hand. Nearly 10,000 people are here to witness it. Let's take a look at the track.
Hangtown's always been full of surprises. This year they've got extra topsoil all over the racetrack, and they've had a lot of rain. It's going to be very rough out there and force the riders to be precise.
Art Ekman is on the track. Let's check in with him.
They're also running this track the other direction this year, so we won't see bikes flying through the air and landing on their rider like we did last year, and almost having to name this the Jeff Stanton Memorial Hill. But there are a lot of dangerous traps out there.
They've dumped a lot of sand, and you know, when they mixed up the dirt, it's got big, deep grooves, you know, in the corners. And I was coming through, you know, kind of a sweeper corner, and cross-roaded, man. I went down and I hit my eye real hard, you know, like I hit my head. I seen a little bit of stars.
I think going into the corners, the track has a lot more bumps this year. Well, like you said, the last time I rode this track was 2 years ago. But I think most of the amateurs that they had on Saturday pushed a lot of the sand off, so it's relatively hard again.
Ruts are really bad out there, and that makes it dangerous because the track was good when it wasn't ruddy, but now that it's ruddy, there's a lot of drop-offs and stuff, and if you get in there and you kind of get cross-rudder or something, you go off one of those drop-offs sideways, that'll be bad there. Hopefully we won't do that, though.
Well, it may be bad for the riders, but it could be good for the fans as far as the excitement and the action go. We are getting set for Moto number 1 here at Hangtown. We'll be right back with the start after this.
This edition of ESPN Speed World is brought to you by Honda, defending champions and holders of the past 7 consecutive Supercross titles. Honda, come ride with us.
This is a 1-800-COLLECT call from...
Hey, this is your son, Jeremy. Your son, Jeremy. Trying to be funny? I've been eating pretty good. Doug and I were just hanging out.
Cheese. I'm not an actor.
What am I doing? Jeff's doing good. He says to say hi.
Hi, Dad.
Steve says to say hi.
Hi, Mom and Dad. Say what?
I think we're going to take it tonight. No, I'd rather have it on your bill than mine. I'm getting ready to go race right now. Mom, guess what? We just won the championship again.
Welcome back to Hangtown, just outside of Sacramento. Riders are getting set to go.
Right there, Skip Norfolk topping off the tank on Jeremy McGrath. They've gone out and done a parade lap. Wants to make sure he's got the fuel to go the distance.
Take a look at the starting grid. Larry Ward, Kedrowski, Jeff Emig. There's McGrath you were talking about.
Larry Brooks, Taylor, Smale, Lawrence, and DeHoop.
Greg Albertine, the 3-time world champion. Kyle Lewis, John Dowd, John Sebastian Roy, Rick Ryan.
Brian Manley still out there. I used to race against Brian. James Dodd moving up from the 125 indoors. And
doing a pretty good job, too. Not too bad. Well, we are getting set for the start. 40 riders have gotten into the position on the line, and this has to be a very tense moment for them, David.
It's important to get the start here at Hangtown. They have a lot of tight sections right after the start, and the field really separates. So if you don't get the whole shot, buried in the pack.
Well, there they go. Let's see who gets the whole shot. It looks like Albertine. Man, I've been very impressed with his starts. And look at Jeff Emig battling along Kyle Lewis for that second spot. And Emig will come away with it. Now he's going to fly through the air and challenge Albertine.
Lewis up the inside almost forces Emig off over the berm. Emig hanging on to his line and very aggressive. Can't believe how fast these guys are going already.
Well, Albertine is like a rabbit. At Gainesville, we saw him take off in that very first moto, get the whole shot. Then he was gone, but in the last 10 minutes is when LaRocco made his move, as it seemed like Albertine ran out of steam. But right now, he is off to a great start.
Well, Albertine had some injuries caused from the Supercross series, and I think he's pretty healthy right now. I think he's fit to go the distance, and he doesn't have LaRocco to contend with.
Well, as you look back, you see Jeremy McGrath, the overall winner. He is riding along in the 4th spot. Now we get a look at the Honda helmet cam, once again worn by Rich Taylor. And look at that, David. The first lap not even completed, and look at all the dirt and gunk on there.
Yeah, it's tough to see through that, and that's what the riders are seeing. All those ruts, trying to pick a good line out there, stay out of the deeper ruts, try to dodge that roost coming off those bikes. Your vision is terrible. And the further back in the pack that you are, the worse your vision is. You run out of tearaways, and then you just can't see where you're going. It's tough.
Well, I tell you, Albertine is having no problems right now. His field of vision is probably just as clear as you can have it, as he has pulled out to a fairly sizable advantage, several seconds over Jeff Emig. We'll get a look there as he comes up over the small jump. Emig right behind, then Jeremy McGrath, Kyle Lewis.
You see how deep the ruts are right there. As John Dowd, Mike Kedrowski go by, Doug Henry and Larry Ward having a battle. You see James Dobb right there coming through. Riders having problems. You see how deep the ruts are. What happens is your bike sinks in there and it grabs your feet off the peg. So you got to be careful not to twist an ankle.
Let's go back now to battle for 4th place. Kyle Lewis has it right now, as he is doing an excellent job. Remember, he got off to a pretty good start, but right now John Dowd is beginning to catch him, it looks like.
It looks like John Dowd is starting to make a move. He's got pressure from Kedrowski, which is possibly giving him that wake-up call that he needs. John Dowd did excellent outdoors last year, and this year he's got a full factory ride, but Mike Kedrowski slips by on the inside through those ruts.
He made it look easy, went to the outside, slipped right on through. Kedrowski taking over the 5th spot, and now we look back, the battle for 2nd is Emig beginning to feel a little bit of heat from Jeremy McGrath.
Well, Jeremy McGrath, as we mentioned earlier, he missed this round last year with a knee injury, and it really didn't miss much because they change the track so much here every year that nobody really has any kind of an advantage over Jeremy, and already they've opened up a pretty good lead over this battle for fourth.
Battle for fourth, Kyle Lewis has it right now, but look at Kudrowski. He looks to the inside. They'll come up over the jump. Kyle Lewis manages to squirt away just a little bit, but look at Kudrowski as he tries a line on the inside, and look at all the time he loses. In fact, he almost loses fifth place to John Dowd.
Well, these ruts are causing everybody problems. You see how the bike's hopping around, getting into the corner. When the back end's hopping around like that, that's when you hear the term cross-rutted. Your back tire gets in one, your front in the other, and you got all kinds of problems.
Well, Kudrowski now making the move around the outside. He takes over the fourth position, and he will set his sights on Jeremy McGrath. Well, Art Ekman is in Kudrowski's pits. Let's check in with him.
Well, Brian, Mike can't afford to let Albertine get too far out in front, but he's making a nice charge right now.
Yeah, well, now he can see him. Earlier he couldn't see the front three runners, but now he's in a position on the track where he can see him make a loop around the other side. So it's early in the race. We're only 4 minutes in, so it'll be pretty good.
Well, it looks like all the riders are really liking this track.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's changed quite a bit from this morning. It was really loose and heavy ruts. Now what it's done is dried out and gotten real hard and slick, so it'll keep things interesting, real interesting.
By real interesting, what's Brian mean, David?
Well, I think that just the ruts, it forces the riders to be precise. As I mentioned before, you see right there, they get down in these ruts, and Kyle Lewis right there drifting wide, almost letting one of the riders by. And as later in the race, your vision is from passing lapped riders starts to go away, and you see right there, Albertine having his problems. Riders make a lot more mistakes in these ruts, so you can capitalize on that.
Well, right now, it looks like a great battle is heating up for the lead. Albertine has lost some of that advantage he had over Jeff Emming. Jeremy McGrath stands in third as you get a look at our Suzuki Field Summary. Albertine, Emming, McGrath, Kudrowski, Lewis, Dowd, Henry, DeHoop, Ward, and James Dobb all running in the top 10. We'll be back in a moment. We're just outside of Sacramento, California. They call it Hangtown, and look at that. The top three running nose to tail practically, and then quite a bit of separation back to the fourth place rider, Mike Kudrowski.
He's already put a pretty good gap on John Dowd and Kyle Lewis and Doug Henry, who he was running with pretty tight only about a lap and a half ago. So Mike Kudrowski's on the move, and I have a feeling he'll probably catch those leaders. They might ride defensively, and that's going to allow him to catch up.
Well, now as we look a little bit back at Kyle Lewis and Doug Henry. Henry, of course, the two-time defending 125cc champion, and what a battle we've got going on here.
And he's been struggling, trying to find a way around Kyle Lewis, and he hasn't been successful yet. Last year, Kyle Lewis ran up front here and had, I think, one of his best national finishes.
Oh, that kicks out. The rear wheel of Kyle Lewis kicks out. They got together a little bit, and oh, look at Doug Henry. Must have got rutted there, David, and turns it over. And there's the corner worker out there with the yellow flag to keep him out of harm's way. In fact, they'll get the bike back up, help him up. Looks like Doug's okay. Just dump the bike there.
Well, that's going to cost him so much time. You see how long it took him just to get out from underneath the banners. Now he's got to try to get back on the track. And kind of funny, he's got a checkered flag stuck in his number plate there. That's going to... I don't think he's going to see that first today. He's losing all kinds of time. The leaders are 30 seconds ahead of him right now. He just got over that berm into the loose stuff, and that soft soil just soaked up all the bike's momentum and just put him into a nosedive. And it's unfortunate he drifted off the track. Here's another look. He just has nowhere to go. You see he's trying to miss that hay bale, and boy, if he could have just been a foot to the left, he could have saved a whole lot of time. Now the best thing for him is just to try to get back up in there, pass as many people as possible, not take a lot of chances, and go for it in the second moto, look for a good overall.
Well, Greg Albertine continues to lead. Let's check into his pit with Art.
Ian, the whole shot, and then he looked tremendously smooth in holding the lead.
Yeah, that's the secret, you know, to get away in the beginning, and he is looking smooth. I just hope we don't have any problems, and he just keeps riding like that, using his head, and then he'll be fine, you know.
Well, he's got some great competition right behind him. Emming is on the move, too.
Yeah, and McGrath, they're both there, and Kudrowski's in fourth, catching fourth, so it's not over yet. It's still a long way.
You worry more about Kudrowski than Emming?
I'd say, yeah.
No mincing of the words right there. Well, there's a good look at his rider who's leading this right now, Albertine. But we saw him at Gainesville in the first moto lead and then fade toward the end. How long will it take him to adjust and get used to these tracks?
Well, in Europe, they ride a shorter moto. They ride 3 motos, and they're only 20 minutes. Here, it's a 30-minute moto, and you only have 2 of them. And I think, you know, he's never seen Hangtown. He's never seen a lot of these racetracks. But once he gets comfortable with riding against the American riders and some of these tracks, I think next year, he's definitely got a shot at winning. And this year, I wouldn't count him out.
Nor would I. And if you'd like to ride a lot better, then pay attention to our Honda riding tip.
I'm Ben Cheatwood, and join me is 6-time national motocross champion Jeff Stanton with today's Honda riding tip. Jeff, how important is race day nutrition?
Very important, and the reason it's so important, you're practicing, you're sweating, you're draining yourself. You need to replenish your system with water, Gatorade, Powerade, tons of sports drinks, tons of things you can put in water to replenish your system. While you're drinking, you also need to eat something. Best results, bread, carbohydrates, lots of fruits, bananas, apples, oranges. You don't want something with a lot of acid, but most importantly, you need to drink lots of fluids and also eat a little bit to replenish your system so you have enough energy to go out there and race a 20-lap main event.
Race day nutrition is very important. With Jeff Stanton, I'm Ben Cheatwood.
So what do you used to eat on the morning before a race?
Oatmeal, banana. I would like to eat a banana just for the potassium and avoid cramping, and you do want to eat a lot of carbohydrates, but you can overdo it on carbohydrates and it'll make you feel kind of lazy.
Well, not feeling lazy right now is Kedrowski as he tries to chase down Jeremy McGrath. He's sitting back in 4th place. McGrath is in 3rd. Actually, things have very much stabilized with Albertine out front. Then you've got Emig in 2nd place, followed by McGrath. But it's kind of strung out all around the racetrack right now, David.
Yeah, definitely is strung out. But I think Emig still has his sight. He's close enough to the leader. That psychological advantage of being able to see the guy, know that he's right there, and still pay attention to what he's doing. Really gives you the confidence to be able to maybe make a pass later in the race, especially when they get into lapped riders.
Well, Emig is in very good shape. He's riding along in 2nd right now as we are a little bit past the midway point of Moto number 1. You get a look at the top 10 of our Suzuki field summary. We'll be back at Hangtown in just a minute. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and John Kernan back at Hangtown, just outside of Sacramento, California. Greg Albertine, 3-time world champion, continues to lead the field.
I'm really impressed with this kid. He's shown no respect to the American riders. He comes over, his starts are dialed in. He goes right to the front, and right here, he looks pretty in control. He's got Emig back there that's going to keep him honest.
Well, he is doing a great job here at Hangtown. In fact, all year long. For more, let's check in with Art.
We're here in the Suzuki pits. 3-time world motocross champion Greg Albertine has certainly, as expected, paid his dues on the supercross scene. But here at the National Outdoors, Team Suzuki expects his expertise to shine.
I definitely want to be up there with the top few guys. I really believe I can win, and that's going to be my goal at the end of the championship. I might have a couple of things to learn in the first few races, but at the end of the year, I want to be on top.
I did not think it was going to be easy, but I know it's going to be in the hunt in the outdoors. And the Supercross, it's normal that, you know, there's a learning period.
The Supercross learning period has been a painful experience for the South African. 2 crashes in the opening qualifying heat of the season put him out of action for 2 races with a dislocated shoulder. And then a press day practice crash at Indianapolis put him out for 3 more.
I've never had so many injuries in a row. I mean, this is three serious injuries in a row, and I haven't had that in ages, or ever, actually.
Even American fans who came to the 1994 GP didn't get a chance to see Albertine at his best.
First moto, I rode like an absolute idiot. Didn't deserve any result. And then second race, I was riding a lot better and had problems with my bike. So it was a frustrating day, but at the end of the year, I won the championship, and that's what it's all about.
There wasn't much he didn't accomplish on the worldwide GP motocross scene, and when we talked with him last year, he couldn't wait to get a crack at the American circuits.
Because the way it's going to get really rough in that, I think it might pay off to have this offset.
This very pleasant young man showed at the national opener in Gainesville that he very well could be a contender this year. Only a broken wheel in Moto 2 tarnished an outstanding 2nd place to Larocco in Moto 1.
When he came here, you know, he was looking forward to do Supercross, because he was kind of burned out on the outdoors on the Grand Prix circuit. But I see he's happy now to have an outdoors where he's going to be able to leave the power on for a while.
I just think outdoors is the speeds are higher, and it's just more who's got the guts to just hang on for the longest.
There's little doubt in my mind that once the former world champion gets some seat time and acclimates himself to the hot summers and gnarly tracks here, he'll prove to his team that he was a very attractive catch. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Art. Albertine continues to lead. A look back in 3rd is Jeremy McGrath, but he's going to have some company soon.
Well, you can just, in the glimpse of that last shot, you can see Kedrowski starting to gain time. I know McGrath knows that, and his mechanic is putting it on the board. And McGrath was right there with the leaders at the start. He just dropped off the pace. Possibly something in his setup he could work on between motos and come out and ride a little stronger.
Well, let's find out if there is a problem with his setup. Art Ekman is with Skip Norfolk.
Skip Jeremy got a decent start, and he's holding right in there at third, but he's got some people behind him that want it.
Yeah, he's got Kudrowski kind of starting to breathe down his neck a little bit. He's closing a little bit. He seems a little fast on our side of the track over here, but back over there on the far side from where we're at, he's losing a little bit of ground. I'm not sure why. We're going to try to get on the radio and find out what he's doing different than the other guys are. And, you know, we still got about 20 minutes left, so a lot can happen.
So you're saying he's not losing overall time, he's just losing portions of the track?
Yeah, when you watch it, you know, it's kind of changes. If you time him on that side of the track, he's far behind. If you time when he comes over here, he's back where he's been the whole moto. So it's kind of deceiving to watch. Depends on where you're looking at. But we got to get him going a little faster in that section far over there.
What do you do to do that?
I don't know. We're working on that part right now.
It's not like they can make a pit stop and make a suspension change, is it?
Oh, that's unfortunate, but that's what makes this sport so tough. I mean, once you choose your setup, that's what you're stuck with for a half an hour plus 2 laps, and if it's wrong, you got to deal with it. And right now, Kudrowski is definitely making time on McGrath.
Speaking of making time, look at Jeff Emig. He has closed the gap on Albertine. In fact, Emig gets a run off the jump downhill and takes over the lead. What a move by Emig.
Well, that was an aggressive move. He came from way behind him and made up all that time. I think it was a better line choice. Emig moved over to the outside where the ruts are a little shallower and was able to be a lot more aggressive through there.
Well, Jeff Emig used to be known as Mr. 125, makes the transition into 250. Headed toward what would be his first 250 outdoor win as he has taken the lead. We are late in the round.
Well, usually when you move up from the 125 to the 250, the 250 it's an overwhelming experience. I mean, the bike is twice as much power. It's harder to get stopped, and you have to bring with you a lot more strength to handle that bike. And right now he's riding like a 125, and it shows.
Well, there you see Albertine now. I wonder, you look at him, he seems to have slowed down just a bit. So we get a look at the pass here.
Well, if you take a look back and see what happened here, looks like they both get a good drive out of the corner, but Albertine is more in the middle of the racetrack, and he wasn't able to clear that little double jump. You see he bounced up in the air again. Emig lands on the downside and gasps it, powers all the way through there. It makes up a lot of time. It was an excellent move, aggressive move.
So it does take a little while to get used to just the horsepower difference when you make the move from 125 to 250.
Oh, and on a track like this, you can see how rough it is in the ruts. I mean, you've got to be really strong to make things work.
Well, there's a look at our Suzuki field summary for the top 10. We will be back with the closing laps at Hangtown, just outside Sacramento, when we return right after this. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and John Kernan back at Hangtown as we are in the closing stages. There you get a good look at our leader, Jeff Emig, who just moments ago took the lead away from Greg Albertine.
Emig looking fantastic on the 250. He just moved. Oh, problems for Kudrowski.
Kudrowski, who is running along in fourth, was trying to chase down Jeremy McGrath, but he apparently got a little bit too aggressive there.
Well, he didn't lose much time. It appears as he's going to hold down fourth spot and ride home in fourth and hopefully put things together in the second moto for a good overall finish. But as I was saying about Jeff Emig, I mean, he's just looking fantastic and obviously riding with a lot of confidence, able to stay in touch with the leader and noticed that he was gaining ground and went for the move, took it, and this has got to be his best ride outdoors to date.
Well, look at the separation between McGrath, who is riding along in third place, and then the second place runner, Greg Albertine. It must have been a good 15 seconds. So the battle is definitely for the top 2 spots right now. McGrath has a bit of a cushion on Kudrowski, who dumped the bike just a little bit and still back in fourth place. But now we get a look up front. Emig beginning to stretch it out ever so slightly, and there you see the white flag. We are 1 lap away from Jeff Emig picking up his very first 250 outdoor moto win.
And you see Greg Albertine, he is losing time, but he's still close enough to make moves. There you see a lapped rider, and if those guys were to get in the way of Emig, possibly Greg could capitalize. And, you know, the question is, can he retaliate? I don't know that he has the strength. Jeff's riding with a lot of confidence. He's definitely pumped up for his first moto win here. And, you know, Greg, with all the injuries that he's had, it's probably tough for him to stay in tip-top condition. He knows he's not 100% physically, so just be smart here. Those 3 number 1s on his number plate each represent a world championship, so he knows how to win the war.
He definitely does, as does Jeff Emig. I know Emig also has a good training regimen, and he's the kind of guy in the 125s when he was riding that, he would hang around for the first 15-20 minutes and then really turn it on. He was in such good shape he could make that late moto charge, and it looks like that's exactly what he's doing right here.
Yeah, he's done exactly that, and it worked for him, and I would imagine the second moto will be a different story. Kudrowski was a little bit stuck back in the pack, but he's shown that he's got the speed to probably run with these guys. And also Doug Henry, who was putting on an early charge, he ended up with problems and dropped outside the top 10, but has moved his way back up into 7th or 8th place right now.
Well, there you see Emig working the lap traffic there. As you can see, a bunch of ruts have formed, and that could present a problem. So he's not home free just yet, is he?
Well, he's got a pretty good cushion as we got about a half a lap to go. And a lot of times what I used to think about when I had you know, a pretty good cushion over guys, but I would look at the track and try to figure out in the second moto the way things were going to develop and sort of, you know, try to be ahead of the game with lines that would be better and jump into my rhythm before anybody else and open up to an early lead.
So you're already thinking here about the next moto and the next race. You're not even concentrating on the race at hand.
Well, it's just automatic. When you're riding that good, it just comes natural, and you're able to think about things like that. And possibly the bike setup, you know.
Yeah.
Some things you might want to do, stiffen up the suspension a little bit or loosen it up to get more traction.
Well, there's the checkered flag, Jeff Emig, Mr. 125. Maybe we're going to have to start calling him Mr. 250 as he wins Moto #1 here at Hangtown. Second place will belong to Greg Albertine. There you get a look at Art Ekman down in the pit area, and we'll be hearing from him very, very shortly. But for Emig, it has to be a very big day.
Well, he doesn't even look tired to me. That's the way it is. Sometimes you win races and just everything flows, and doesn't appear that he used that much energy, and he's got to be pretty happy with his first moto win here.
Yeah, look at that. Just a little bit of dirt on his face. He doesn't even look like he worked up a sweat. Emig with a great display today will pick up the victory in Moto #1. He's followed by Albertine, Jeremy McGrath, and Kudrowski was able to hang on to that 4th spot. And as you take a look at the rest of the top 10, Art Ekman has caught up with the winner.
You ought to go down hard and practice more often. What a ride.
Yeah, you know, I got a good start there right behind Albie, and, you know, like seeing those 3 1s on his back that represent 3 World Championship, you know, that drives you just a little bit harder. You know, and it felt good to beat him and beat everybody else, and I rode a real comfortable race. You know, I was trying to put in, you know, really fast times. It was really hard, though. The lap riders were really, you know, they're really bad today, and in places I really think, you know, like when I had a really great lap going, you know, like, you know, then I'd have a lap rider slow me up.
What about the pass?
Oh, what happened? I can't remember where I passed him. Help me out.
I didn't see it. It was on the other side.
Oh, no, I passed him coming down the hill here. It seemed like he got a little bit screwed up out of the corner, you know, and I got the good drive. I did the double, and it seemed like, I mean, we were pretty close, and we were going pretty fast, and there's a pretty big pond right next to us, so...
Emig backs up at 3rd overall at Gainesville with a moto win here at Hangtown over Greg Albertine, who is down in the pits with Art.
Well, a great start, but Emig just would not crack, Greg.
Yeah, he was really strong out there. I just got away, and then I started making mistakes, which was ridiculous, and he caught me and passed me. He was riding really well out there, and I just decided to hang with him, see where he was faster than me. And there were a couple of sections, so hopefully for the second mode I can change some lines.
That would be a good adjustment, especially on that downhill.
Yeah, that's for sure. The track is incredibly rough, and I had a couple of hairy moments.
But it made for some exciting moments for the 10,000 or so fans who were on hand to watch racing action here at Hangtown. Back with Moto #2 after this. Back at Hangtown, getting set for the start of Moto #2. A good look there at Jeff Emig, who won the very first moto of the day.
He's starting right next to Greg Albertine, who finished right behind him, so that could be interesting.
There you get a nice look down the line of the 40 riders. The sign goes over. We're just about set for the gates to drop. The RPMs are up. Revving the engines. They're ready to go.
There you get a look at what it's like to get the start. This is Rich Taylor with a Honda helmet cam. He's kind of on the outside getting pushed out. Look at all the dirt flying, the dust. You see Greg Albertine and Jeff Emig right there side by side. They didn't get off to quite as good a start as they did in the first moto.
No, they did not. Up front, Jeremy McGrath has gotten the whole shot, but look at this. This is incredible.
This is what it feels like. You see all those specks of mud coming up? When do you think you got a chance to reach up there and pull a tear off? Not right now. So sometimes you got to ride with literally no vision before you have a chance to reach up there and pull off one of those tearaways and get good vision again. Also, you don't want to waste them all in the early laps because you need it through the whole moto.
There you get a look at Emig right in front of Rich Taylor, and he won the very first moto of the day. And as you said, David, he did not get off to the type of start that he would have liked. Neither did Albertine. Look at that piece of mud just flop up there and block the vision.
Yeah, talk about messing up your concentration. That stuff's flying, and also the rocks are flying up. We don't feel what he's feeling right here, but I can tell you, all those bikes in front of him are shooting rocks and hitting him in the chest. And some guys wear a chest protector. Some guys just kind of grin and bear it, and it's a tough, I mean, for the spectators to watch this versus actually feel what it's like going on out here. This is about as close as we can get, but it hurts. You got to steer out of the lines of the guys in front of you and pick the right rut and try to be able to see and watch out for the other riders. It's a real challenge.
Yeah, I remember the first moto I ran many, many years ago, back before you were born. I didn't wear a chest protector the first moto and got a bunch of rocks up. The next week, I had a chest protector for my baseball uniform underneath my jersey. Look up front. Jeremy McGrath, who won the first overall this year at Gainesville, is the leader. And you get a look back. They're not strung out too badly right now. It's just about anybody's race early in the
Well,
game.
it looks like most of the the fastest riders, the ones that are in contention for the lead, those guys have all gotten good starts. And usually Mike Kudrowski, who's right here on the back door of Jeremy McGrath looking for an opening, he's usually well back in the pack, but right here he's got a good start.
And look at Kudrowski, tries the outside but washes out in the rear as he went for the lead. McGrath continues to hold on. In fact, he puts a little distance between himself and Kudrowski. And McGrath, of course, opening the year with that very impressive overall victory at Gainesville. After dominating Supercross the last 2 years, he's become quite a story, and Art Ekman talked with him earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Gainesville was no fluke. I practiced hard, trained hard, got ready for that race, and it showed. I'm here at Hangtown, ready to win again, and just so happens I got a little bit of a cold again, so maybe it's going to be bringing me some good luck.
That's right, you had the flu the last time, right?
Yeah, got a little cold this time, so good luck is on my way.
Or at least he hopes so anyway. I don't know if I'm convinced that he feels like he can go out and win with a cold. This is a really rough track. It takes a lot of strength, and possibly it's taking its toll on Jeremy. I'm sure it will towards the end of the moto.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he also went out the night before, like at Gainesville, and played pool with his friends, you know. That may help, too. It may start a ritual for him right now. But look at this. Kudrowski really putting the heat on as they come down the hill. Kudrowski looking for that inside line. McGrath, you see, got out of the rut on the outside, and that was the opening that Kudrowski needed.
Well, Kudrowski, ever since the start, has just looked really impatient. Like he just felt like he had the speed, and he wanted to go right past McGrath and into the lead, and did just that. There's not that many people have been putting pressure on McGrath, and he just made a little bobble. That was all Kudrowski needed. Now, can McGrath learn from Kudrowski and stick with him and possibly make a move on him towards the end of the moto?
Well, after the first moto, you heard Albertine say after he got passed by Emig, he followed him looking for the faster lines. Here's another look at the pass.
Well, as they come into the corner, McGrath was a little bit too far to the left, and he couldn't fade into that inside rut, and Kudrowski was there. McGrath made a little bobble just to make it that much easier for Kudrowski. He goes right by.
And I tell you, that could spell bad news for the rest of these competitors. Kudrowski out front this early on. He could run away and hide.
He could. He's the defending champion here at Hangtown. And it's up to Jeremy right now to see if he can keep in contact with him, possibly learn a little bit, and put the pressure back on Mike.
Well, take a look at the Honda field summary. Kudrowski is leading it, followed by Jeremy McGrath, Doug Hendry, Kyle Lewis, and John Dowd. As you look at the rest of the top 10, we will be back with more from Hangtown in a moment. Welcome back to Hangtown for the 27th annual Dirt Diggers Hangtown Motocross Classic. Your leader is Mike Kudrowski. We look back a little further back in the pack. There's a good look at Kyle Lewis. He is in the 4th position. John Dowd is 5th, and I believe that's Greg Albertine, who is now challenging Dowd for that 5th spot.
Goes around the outside. Little mistake by Dowd in the corner was all Albertine needed to move by, and now he sets his sights on Lewis, and you know, I think Albertine feels a real urgency to get to the front as quick as he can because they're starting to get away.
Well, you saw right there the effects of running in the middle of the pack. Remember, Albertine got the whole shot. The first moto, you hardly ever saw him taking off a tearaway, and right there as he was in the air, he had to take off a tearaway. And you get a good look at Kyle Lewis now in 4th, but it looks like Albertine is cutting into that gap.
Well, it's tougher when you get a bad start, or it wasn't really a bad start, but it wasn't the start he needed. You start to get stuck into the flow of the riders ahead of you. Sometimes a guy will make a mistake and you make the same exact one. You've got vision, you've got the roost coming up in your face, and it's tougher.
But things pretty tough right now on this rider, Doug Henry, as he is in 3rd, and things are heating up behind him. I guess I should say not tough right now, but they will get tougher for him because it looks like Albertine is going to make the move around Lewis, and as fast as we've seen him run today, it looks like it won't take him any time to catch Henry and put the pressure on him.
Well, right now, Henry's got his sights set on the leaders, but he's got a little buffer back there with Kyle Lewis, who's holding up. It appears as though he's holding up Greg Albertine right here, and that's good news for Doug. He can just focus on riding aggressive.
Yeah, it doesn't. And now it looks like Albertine gets a drive on the inside, but he just can't make the move.
It's been tough for riders all day to get around Kyle Lewis. Now, he's pretty comfortable here at Hangtown. He's ridden well in the past, and these guys can't find a way around him. Once they do, they seem to get away pretty quick.
Albertine trying to shorten that turn right there as he tries to cut it off on the inside. He picks up a little ground as he once again battles with Lewis. Lewis, as they come up on this set of jumps right here is still maintaining the advantage, and it looked like Albertine landed a little bit wrong there, David, but he squirts around.
Doesn't really matter. You know, Albertine, he's got sort of an unorthodox style about him. He jumps with the front end a little high at times, and he does things a lot different than they do here in the U.S., and he just relies a lot more on strength than finesse, and that just took a lot of strength to make that pass.
Well, he does make the pass, moves into 4th place. Now we'll see if my prediction was right, that it wouldn't take him long to catch up with Doug Henry.
Well, Doug's got a pretty good lead on these guys right now, but look at how much distance already that Albertine has put on these two riders. So it's obvious he's running a fast pace.
Running a very fast pace. I believe I could see Doug go around the corner. It looks like maybe about, oh, look at that, man. He got a little bit, that was not for show, I'm sure. It looked like he got out of shape, almost lost it. A great recovery job.
I think, didn't I just say unorthodox? Well, have a look at that. That was a nice, excellent recovery. I mean, that gets your heart pumping a little higher, but Greg's used to riding kind of on that ragged edge and taking chances and riding with strength, and I don't think that affects him very much. He didn't even seem to miss a beat.
Oh, man, not missing a beat either. Right up front, Kudrowski. We've got the interval stopwatch up. We'll start it here and see just how big of a lead he has over the 2nd place rider. We keep waiting and waiting. Man, he is really stretching it out, isn't he?
Well, he's riding excellent. I don't think Jeremy's riding up to his potential, and it shows. He's already dropped back. Doug Henry moves into the number 2 spot, and look at Albertine.
Albertine making a charge. He has caught McGrath, who is faded from 2nd to 3rd as they do some battling. Come up over the jump, and it looks like Albertine has that spot.
Boy, this is going to make the overall real interesting because these guys are scattered all over the place. Kudrowski, who was 4th in the first moto, is now leading it, but if Albertine can make up some time, he'll be in a good position to take the overall.
And what about Jeff Emig? Remember, he won the first moto, but he is faded. He's running outside of the top 5 right now. He would need to move up into at least 3rd, 4th to ensure himself of the overall victory.
Also, and Doug Henry, who was 7th in the first moto after having his share of problems, he's running up front. It wouldn't surprise me if he was able to catch Mike Kudrowski. He's riding pretty fast.
Well, Kudrowski is leading it right now. He's trying to pick up the overall, of course, the defending champion of this event here at Hangtown. He is having things his way. I guess I spoke too soon, David, earlier when I said he finally got around McGrath, that it might spell bad news that he was going to pull out to such a large lead. And we saw just a moment ago exactly how big that lead has stretched out.
You know what impresses me is I watch him go through all these tight corners and stuff. He's just maintaining so much momentum everywhere. Excellent line choice, and that's what I remember back to last year commenting on his choice of lines. He just doesn't scrub off any speed anywhere, and it shows. He's pulling out a huge lead, and this battle for 2nd is really getting interesting. Now John Dowd into the mix.
Well, there's about, 5 riders all battling, and there you see Albertine coming up. He gets around Doug Henry. That should move him in the 2nd spot as they come around some of the other riders out here on the course, but Albertine is riding with a vengeance right now, but I'm not quite sure that he could catch Kudrowski, although he has gotten around Doug Henry and moved into the 2nd spot.
Well, one thing's for sure, right now, if things stay the way they are, Albertine would pick up the overall victory. So that looks good for him. He did the smart thing in the first moto by not taking any chances. Emig was riding fantastic, and he just decided to let him go and try to put together an overall. Right now, he's got it.
Well, Albertine hoping to finish 2nd so he can wrap up his first overall victory over here in the States. And we'll be back with more right after this. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and John Kernan back at Hangtown as we are just past the midway point of moto number 2. And the riders are kind of strung out a little bit right now, except for there you saw Jeff Emig coming through after he got off to a sort of a poor start. He has now caught Jeremy McGrath, and this will be a battle for the 5th position. We've got a great battle shaping up here, David.
Well, remember, Jeff Emig and Greg Albertine were side by side in the first couple of corners on the start of this moto, and Albertine, having things dialed in, worked his way right to the front. It's taken Emig quite a bit longer, but he is definitely putting on a charge now.
And we also should mention number 14, John Dowd, who is also running along in the top 5. Now you look at John Dowd there as Jeremy McGrath trying to come back and take over the 4th spot. And there you see Jeff Emig just coming into the picture. Look at McGrath. He's having all kinds of problems there.
Well, he just doesn't seem like he's in his rhythm. And, once you get passed by somebody, it kind of messes up your confidence and your rhythm. And then he's got more problems. More guys coming up from behind. Now he's got Emig, and he's just out of his rhythm, and he can't quite pick up the pace.
And look at Emig as he just floats on by into that left-hand turn. And Jeff Emig, as he takes off the tearaway, or actually wipes the dirt off of his goggles, has moved into the 5th spot.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't like the track, maybe, and things just don't come together, and I think that's the case today for Jeremy. And we're going to take another look at at this pass by Jeff Emig. He just doesn't appear like he's doing anything better right here, but he is carrying more speed. He chooses a wider line and a smarter line. He doesn't really have to make the pass. If he just pulls up inside of Jeremy there, he's got the inside. And Jeremy has nowhere to go.
Especially on that, you have to really brake hard and slow way down for that left-hander. So he did a good job there in making that pass. Now, speaking of a good job, Doug Henry, who was passed just a little while ago by Greg Albertine for second spot. Henry has found some new life, and he is beginning to chase him down.
Well, he is responding and possibly learned a little bit from watching Greg. Greg had a fast pace in the front. Oh, look at this. He goes by on the inside. Nice aggressive pass.
Man, after he came off of that turn, he just goosed it, and the traction, the rear wheel stuck, and he squirted on around and moved into the second position. So Doug Henry knocking back Albertine, and I believe Albertine running second. If he could have finished there with 2 seconds, he would have been the overall winner.
Right, and I think that things are really going to get interesting if Jeff Emig can move up into the picture, because he's the first moto winner, and if he can get move up into third, he'll be the overall winner. If they were to tie on points, the tie would go to Mike Kudrowski if he can hold on to this lead.
Well, as you look at our Honda field summary, you can see that Emig, who won the first moto, is back in the 5th spot. We will be back with the finish in just a moment.
Titles. Honda, come ride with us.
In the closing moments of Moto number 2 here at Hangtown, David Bailey, Art Ekman, and John Kernan. And David, we have got a battle shaping up for second place that, well, right now, words cannot describe how exciting it's going to be.
This is incredible how close all these riders are. And right now, Kudrowski's out front doing all that he can do to try to hope to win this overall. And it's really not up to him. He just has to hope that these positions fall where they to his advantage so he can pick up an overall win. But right now, as it sits, I believe that Greg Albertine, if he can make a pass right here, and he can pick up the overall win, right?
Yeah, should be able to pick it up. But right now, Doug Henry doing an excellent job of holding off Albertine. Remember earlier, Albertine got around Henry for second place, and then Doug got back around. And let's give a call to John Dowd as you look at Jeff Emig. Dowd back in the 4th position, having a great day.
Now, he's looking good, and I would expect him to do well on a track like this where it's rough and demands a lot of strength. That's one of his strengths.
Well, I thought for a minute here Albertine was going to get around Doug Henry, but Doug Henry maintaining that second spot. But Albertine is really putting on the charge, as is John Dowd. And don't forget Jeff Emig. And look at Dowd on the inside, and Albertine gets out. The rear wheel looks like he got hung up on that berm and just almost lost it.
He just came up the hill too wide and let his front wheel drift over the berm. He let John Dowd get by. Now he's got pressure from Jeff Emig, and Jeff Emig's got pressure from the grid. This is awesome to have this kind of a battle this late in the race.
I'll tell you what, he's back in 4th place right now for Albertine. That's going to cost him the overall victory unless he can make up some ground. Now we look back out front. There you see Mike Kudrowski, the leader. And this is the last lap, and what can you say? He has just taken off and left everybody.
And you see right there, he's holding up one finger. I'm number 1. Well, you are in this moto. He did all he could do in the first moto, but it just wasn't enough, and the overall is really up in the air. It depends on what happens in that group of riders behind him.
You know, right before the Gainesville race, the Outdoor National, he told me that he wanted to be like Dale Earnhardt, the NASCAR Winston Cup driver who is so dominant. Well, in this moto, he certainly looked like Dale Earnhardt on 2 wheels.
Mike's a fighter, and you know, most of the time at 4th place really doesn't put you in a position for an overall win, but you know, if things fall right here, he can pick it up.
Well, there is Jeff Emig, who goes around Albertine. Well, no, he doesn't. Albertine holds him off. That's the 4th position. Now, Emig, if he can get around Albertine and finish in the 4th spot, he would tie with Kudrowski. But because of the tiebreaker, Kudrowski winning the second moto, if he hangs on to win it, Kudrowski would get the overall victory. But look at Albertine trying to do everything he can to hold off Jeff Emig for that 4th spot. And look at John Dowd. They've actually caught back up with him. Remember, Albertine almost dumped the bike and fell back into that 4th spot, but now they have caught up with Dowd, and Doug Henry is not too far out in front of them, as you get a good look at it there.
I think all these riders are doing the math in their head while they're riding, figuring out what's going to happen in the overall right here, but no matter how you slice it, these guys, every one of these riders are within just a few points of each other. So for the title chase, it's not going to matter that much. Even for McGrath, who's faded all the way back, he's going to still be, you know, he's only going to lose a few points on the day.
Well, we were on the last lap, of course, and things are really heating it up for this battle for second place. About 5 riders, and look at Jeff Emig as he gets alongside Albertine. Emig is going to take over that 4th spot in Albertine. Oh, man, what a terrible move there as he got over 2 ruts and loses 2 positions.
And Jeremy pretty wise there to duck to the inside. He could have taken Jeremy right up to the outside, and That bumps Emig up into 4th position in a tie with Mike Kudrowski right here for the win. Now, Kudrowski just has to hope everything falls his way, and right now, if Emig can pass one more rider, he'll pick up the overall win.
But Kudrowski so far out in front of everybody. He takes the victory, moto number 2. Now we get back down to business. Here comes Doug Henry. John Dowd on the inside trying to make the move. Henry holds him off for 2nd place. Dowd, a great run, finishing 3rd, but that denies his teammate Jeff Emig of his 1st overall victory. There you get a look at the results. Kudrowski, the winner of moto number 2. Doug Henry, a fine ride as he finishes in 2nd place. And as you look at the remainder of the top 10, Art Ekman has caught up with the winner.
Mike, you told me before this could be like Daytona.
Yeah, you know, it's a three-peat, I guess. I had a tough first moto. You know, I was riding really fast and everything, maybe a little bit over my head, a little bit on the edge, and I ended up falling. And so I just kind of, you know, went out the second moto and said, hey, you know, I get a good start, I can beat those guys, no problem. And sure enough, came out second right behind Jeremy, put in 2 fast laps, and I knew I could hang with that. I go, if he can do this pace the whole time, so can I. And then all of a sudden, he started to make a couple mistakes, and I got by him and just rode my own race.
Well, at my last count, you were 17 seconds in the lead, and then I just gave up.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to start the year, you know, riding with the competition. I want to be above them. And, you know, that's what I'm going to work on every week, is just beating them as much as I can and not just riding to win.
The sound of a very confident rider. Kudrowski, of course, with the overall, even though he and Emig tied in points. Kudrowski winning the 2nd moto gets the victory. As you look at the rest of the top 10, Art Ekman is now caught up with Jeff Emig.
Jeff, same number of points anyway. A tough battle because you had to come back from something like 10th.
Yeah, I didn't get such a great start. I was really late off the gate. Definitely not what I wanted. I mean, I was having a great time, man. I mean, we were really setting the pace, and I could see that things were really tightening up here. I guess it was between second and the rest of us, and I could see stuff tightening up. Albie made a mistake at the end, you know, and I got by him there, but, you know, I was ready for more laps. I never even seen the white flag, 2-lap board, nothing.
When you're in a line like that, what do you have to look out for? What are you looking for?
I'm looking out for the other guys swapping, you know, getting tired and making mistakes, and then, you know, and possibly taking yourself out.
Here's the way the points stack up after 2 rounds of our 12-round series. Jeremy McGrath, a 1-point lead over Kudrowski. And look at that, Jeff Emig is only another point back.
Well, if this is any indication of how close the racing is going to be, I can't wait till the next round. And I'm really impressed with Mike Kudrowski. He didn't have a good first moto, but Mike's a fighter, and he came back and did what he had to do in the 2nd moto. And he's gained a lot of points on the series leader right now, Jeremy McGrath. Also, McGrath, he had a terrible day, but he still holds the points lead, and I would look for him to bounce back.
Well, of course, McGrath, the Supercross dominator, is having a pretty good outdoor season. Of course, this man's teammate, Mike LaRocco, the broken